Hey, this is Charles and Xavier with Max Mortgage.
Hey,
Hey, we are bringing to you what we call our commission gap strategy. And these are different options for how the buyer's agent can get paid that we have come across. So, this is really to make sure our home buyers understand the different options that are available to them when it comes down to making sure the buyer agent is actually compensated. So, the first strategy is, and this occurs about 97% of the time. So, this is what's going to happen most of the time. So, for this example, we're using a $250,000 FHA purchase with a 3.5% down payment. So you see the payment there. And how much is that payment?
so the monthly payment is $2,352.16
All right.
with
And
just an interest rate of 6.75. We're just using a regular interest rate.
right. So we're just using that as just for illustrative purposes. So, but out of pocket, total estimated closing costs with down payment is
It's $24,110.68.
okay. Now remember, that's factoring in if the seller is paying the buyer's agency commission, which is probably going to happen about 97% of the time, and no seller's paying no other closing costs, no concessions or anything. All right. So next example is if the seller is not going to pay the buyer's agency commission. So this is going to happen sometimes as well. So, and once again, this is just to make sure you understand the options that are available to you. So in this example, we just simply take, let's just say, for example, the commission, buyer agent's commission is 3%. So we take 3% of the sales price, add it on top of the sales price of 250, which brings it to
And 257,500.
all right. So 7,500 is the buyer's agent's commission, and once again, this is just for illustrative purposes only. So that would increase the sales price, and so still looking at FHA, which is 3.5% down payment. The down payment increases slightly, and is the interest rate still the same? And now the out of pocket is what?
So the out of pocket went up to $24,445.67.
So you see, there's a slight increase. And for this particular example, seller's not paying any concessions, not paying the buyer's agency fees or anything like that. So, but we just simply added the buyer agent's commission of 3% on top of the sales price.
Not to mention the monthly payment just goes up to $2,403.23. So you can see it's like a difference of $51 and some change compared to the original.
All right, slight difference there. All right, and our third example is, well, if this and if the property is not worth more than 250, if the seller is not paying any seller commissions, seller is not paying any buyer agency compensation or anything like that, everything falls on the buyer. Then normal FHA purchase still a 250 sales price. We can't bump the sales price because the equity is just not there. The property is not worth more than 250. So then the estimated payment goes right back to the beginning, which
was the $2,352.16.
but the difference is the out of pocket, which includes the 3% buyer agent's commission. So the total estimated out of pocket for this example would be what?
So that would have gone up to $31,609.08.
All right. So these are just examples and we have some estimated closing costs in here, just typical standard title fees, insurance, things like that. But we just want to show you that there are strategies we can use. And of course, the last example is, for example, if you are a buyer and you're in a position where you're putting down 10%, for example. So same 250 sales price, that would make it a conventional loan at 10% down. So the down payment will be 25,000. But once again, let's say the seller does not want to pay the buyer agency's commission and the buyer is still responsible for all of their closing costs, including their down payment. In order to make this scenario work, instead of the buyer putting down 10%, the buyer will actually put down 7%. Therefore, that 3% that you're putting down would go towards your bottom line closing costs to cover your buyer agent's commission. So you're still coming up with a 10% down payment. We're just reallocating a portion of that to cover the buyer's agent's commission. And so that, therefore, the out of pocket on this particular example is approximately what?
It's about like $40,287.29.
All right. And once again, that includes estimated down payment, which goes from 10% to 7%, and estimated closing costs with the title fees and insurance fees and appraisal and stuff of that nature. So these are the different scenarios, and that we kind of want to kind of just go over real briefly, give you a brief explanation. But of course, as we talk to each individual buyer, we will go into a lot more detail, a lot more explanation as to how the numbers break down, and make sure our buyers absolutely understand the different options out there for them when it comes to covering the buyer agent's compensation. And this just iterates that buyers, you can still buy the home that you want, buy the home of your dreams, and it doesn't necessarily have to cost you additional money. Sometimes it just have to be shift around and re-strategized to make it work for everybody. But this by far are not the only options out there, but these are a few of the main options that we've come across and the most basic of options. Although, like I said, there are many more options out there, but we will discuss all the options that are available to you when we have our buyer and pre-approval consultation. Let us know if you have any questions.